Hello friends, today we're going to talk about a very interesting module known as impromptu speaking. Well, how many of you might have faced this particular situation? You are in your class and your teacher tells you to give a quick impromptu speech on a particular topic. Or you are at your workplace and your TL or manager tells you to give a quick speech on a particular topic. Well, what happens at that point of time is, I'm sure you can agree to it, you feel completely blanked out and you feel as if the earth would open and you can just get sucked inside it, right? Most of us are not good orators and it really is a task for us to gather all our thoughts and give a speech. Well, today's module is going to help you definitely in how do you organize your thoughts and how do you really manage to give a good impromptu speak. Let's get started on this. We will talk today on what is impromptu speaking. We will also talk about certain tips to deliver a good impromptu speak and what should be done if the mind goes blank while you're giving an impromptu speech. So well friends, what exactly do we mean by an impromptu speech? And here is the definition. Impromptu speaking is getting a topic on the spot and giving a brief speech of 5 to 7 minutes on that. It is not easy task for most of us because not all of us are good orators. Thus, we find ourselves at a loss of words. And that is exactly what is impromptu speaking. Well, certain tips in order to deliver our impromptu speeches. The first tip which I would like to share is to go slowly. I know you can get very nervous when you've been given this task of giving a speech. However, you need to calm yourself down by not hurrying up because that way your nervousness will increase and you will look like a bunch of nerves. So hence, stop, slowly start to gather your thoughts and do not hurry into it. Make sure your rate of speech is not at its fastest. You need to make sure that you breathe into the topic and go slow. So first tip is go slow and do not hurry. Well, the next tip I would like to share is to take your time to begin. Well, don't feel pressurized to begin immediately. First and foremost, it's very important to gather your thoughts. Hence, you need to make sure that you have enough time to prepare for the speech. Do not rush. First, understand the quote or the topic given, jot down some rough points around it and then take your time to begin your speech. Do not think of it like it has to be done really quickly. It's important first to gather your thoughts. So take about a minute or two to just gather everything together and then speak it out. The third one is you need to stand tall. Now, body language is very important here because your action speaks louder than your words. So it's important to look confident and stand tall. Well, stand with your both legs and feet apart from each other. Do not fiddle with your hands because out of nervousness, most of us start fidgeting with our hands, either fidgeting with our clothes, fidgeting with our pockets and ties, for example. Do not slurp, stand straight. Do not put your hands in the pocket and as well as do not fold your hands in front of your chest. Now these are all actions or symbols and signs that show that you might be nervous. So hence it's important to maintain a positive, open body language by standing tall. The next tip is to jot down rough notes. Well, whenever you've been given a particular impromptu speech to be delivered, you need to take your time to jot down roughly what are your thoughts going to be on that particular topic. Now, I'm saying just jot down the rough notes, not saying that you have to write an entire essay on that particular topic. You need to make sure that small bullet points are written out, which will help you to elaborate on them when you give your speech. The next one is to personalize your speech. Now this is the most important tip which I'm going to share with you because you need to make it as real as possible and include your own real life examples which will help the audience to really take note of what you're saying. It should not sound very scripted, rather it should sound something which is coming right out from your heart and hence it's important to personalize your speech. Use examples and stories from your own real life experiences. This will also help you to gain credibility and the audience will be all alert to listen to you. The speech will become more interesting when you add your own personalized flavor to it. You will come out as a real person in the eyes of the audiences and you will definitely show yourself as the authority to speak on that particular subject. Hence, Try to personalize it as much as you can. Well, another tip to deliver an impromptu speech is to keep it short and to the point. Well, audience do not want to listen to a boring lecture, right? They want to make sure that you're keeping it as realistic as possible, as short and concise as possible. Do not take hours and hours or minutes and minutes to get over your speech. Keep it short, keep it simple, and keep it realistic. Well, what happens when you blank out in your mind, or rather when you're at a loss of words and there is a complete blankness in your mind? You cannot remember what is the next word you have to say. Well, that happens to many of us, and in fact it has happened with me many years back as well. When your mind goes blank, here is what you need to do. The first one is never ever apologize. You do not need to show to the people that you have forgotten your speech, so it's okay not to apologize. Second is to take small pauses or short pauses wherever you can. This will just help you to recollect your thoughts. You can take a break and ask for a glass of water. Rephrase or paraphrase already you have said till now, and that will help you to gather your thoughts back. So paraphrase, which will give you a little extra time to think of what you have to say next. And the last one is to ask for questions. Again, this is a very good way to buy time for yourself. When you ask a couple of questions to the audience, they get very excited and they are deeply in focus with what you're saying. And on the other hand, this is giving the orator the time to gather his or her thoughts. Well friends, that brings us to the end of this amazing module on impromptu speaking. So the next time you have been asked to give an impromptu speech by your boss or by your school teacher or college teacher, remember the tips that we have shared with you. I'm sure they're going to be of great help for you to give your next speech in the most amazing manner. Well, thank you so much for listening to us. Keep watching, more videos coming your way. Till then, keep watching. Thank you.